us in the
All right.
overflow room.
We are live in the overflow room.
What is the president going to do, or do you have to remind us?
Sorry, my shit just
What is Mr. President
accidentally
going to say?
zonked out here. Here we go.
I'm going to come to the overflow room.
Ah, that's right. Thank you, Mr. President. All right. Well, I'm Otto, and again, we're joined with Jared.
What's up, guys?
There's Noda 300 himself.
Cheers, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
And the Latina libertarian, Olga Maria.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming back on again.
Absolutely.
It's always fun. You guys are fun.
We just threw it out there. Like, people like who? Like, let's name some people who want to come on. Like, we have, like, an open spot. Like, let's go. So, it's awesome. But, yeah, we're in the middle of talking about some things going on in Maine. I think you wanted to talk about. Is that where we're getting at? Where do we leave
I've been
off?
following, there's on Twitter, on X, the Maine Wire. So basically they are a not leftist news source of Maine. And apparently there's so much crazy stuff happening. Maine to me, has always kind of been this place where you have Portland, which is, your kind of more left-leaning city. But apparently what's been going on is the government's kind of been captured and I mean, Maine is huge. And so most of Maine is pretty rural, but similar to like a lot of states, you have these little small city centers, and that tends to be where the progressives populate. And so they've been just pumping out these policies. But one of the things that's going on is they have been importing a large amount of migrants into Maine. And they their infrastructure is totally not set up for it. So some of the things that have been happening is that the new housing, they've built like this new housing that was meant for veterans and homeless people because they have a huge problem there. Maine is just also like similar to Vermont and some other states where you have a huge homeless population, a lot of, veterans. So they built like this housing. And so instead of all those people who have basically worked on this list, they were like, sorry, you're on this wait list. And they put all of these migrants that they bust up into Maine, and they put them in these housing units that were just built. And I really like the work that these guys do, because basically what they're revealing is that there is a industrial complex with migrants, basically, where you have all of these small, not small, but you have all of these non-for-profit organizations that are getting all of this money for the migrant crisis. And so Maine is kind of cashing in on this. So they're bringing all of these migrants, and there's just all types of stuff that's happening.
And then the contractors that build the housing and
everything. But like right now it's so bad because, you have, for example, like now you have 50,000 new students that have to get acclimated into a public school system that's already. And so earlier this week, there was actually a school district like had a meeting, and the teachers were basically like crying and screaming, like, we cannot handle like this crisis. We cannot handle these kids. Like they need services. Like there's too many of them. And recently there was this young girl who was beat up on the school bus. And it just so happened that it happened to be students who were migrants. And she was hospitalized. And so the mom has been getting a little bit of traction, because what ended up happening is the school decided to, first of all, the kids were like suspended maybe for a couple of days. Her daughter was in the hospital. And when it was time for her daughter to go back to school, they were like, okay, we're going to put your daughter like in this different type of transportation, because the kids who beat her up are going to be on the bus. Like, it's just like this crazy stuff because they're virtue signaling so hard. And it's just like, they can't. So it's just so much stuff that's happening in Maine. But what I saw today, which really kind of topped the cake, was there is this farmer that he raised turkeys. So it's like 500 turkeys or something like that he can't sell them because there was like something that was labeled wrong on the label, just something stupid. And I'm like, what the hell is going on in Maine? Like, what is wrong with these people? There's just like all types of insanity happening. All right.
Where are they?
Those socialists have to ruin everything, don't they?
Where
are they coming from?
Are they
coming
being
from
bussed in
Canada?
or shipped in, or are they?
I mean, it's part of
coming
like
from Iceland?
migrant. So there's a lot of African migrants that are getting brought up into Maine. It looks like from
Somalia.
just from different countries. From some of the stuff that I was reading, which is like pretty interesting, like how, and I think what happens is that certain non-for-profits kind of like will gather like certain groups from different countries. And that's why like you have like certain, whether it's like Catholic charities or different groups, like they tend to be, they get people from certain countries and then they're shipping them to specific states. Again, because it's like money that's moving. So this is why like in Ohio, you saw like a large component of like Haitians were going to Ohio, just part of like which non-for-profits.
Eating the dogs.
Yeah.
That's why it's cheaper. That's why Thanksgiving's cheaper this year, guys.
Yeah.
People are just
Is
eating
it?
swans and dogs and shit. And
I haven't seen any of those memes.
Oh, you haven't seen that? They already released the thing saying that it's like 5% down this year, the price for Thanksgiving. Yet I was walking through. I've never gone through canned soup. I haven't bought canned soup in so long. But I was walking down the aisle just yesterday, and I look and I realized every single can of soup, even the generic shit ones, all of them were over $1.50.
Everything's more expensive. Like I went to Walmart yesterday and everything was exactly like $1 higher. Like a couple, I'm like, okay, I don't see this discount. Yeah, exactly. Costco had to recall the butter because they forgot to put.
Wow.
Milk.
It didn't list Malik as an ingredient.
Right, because you don't know where butter comes from.
Wow, idiocracy. It's happening.
Yeah,
it's unsustainable. This whole and I stumbled across, and Jared, we could like watch some videos. And Olga, you escaped New York.
Oh yeah, I still have family there, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, this is. So I stumbled across this on Twitter. We can watch maybe parts of it. A lot of it is in. You could probably translate some parts. Well, they have subtitles for those watching, but. Yeah, it really gets into these migrant shelters in New York City, or New York State, which is what I think they have the largest amount that they're bringing in of all the states in this country. And,
really, it wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know how this is. I mean, this is unsustainable.
Let's watch this, and then I'm gonna tell you my like tinfoil hat theory that I have.
Oh, okay.
That's why a group of the other migrants. You know, we're gonna search them.
You cannot search them. Do they ever bring in weapons like knives or stuff?
Yeah, they will bring. I've seen 2 knives here.
Really?
Yeah.
Someone got stabbed at one of the gates.
So hold on, this is at a migrant. What's the background here?
So these are migrant shelters interviewing like a lot of NYC
we visited
illegal,
several of New York's illegal alien shelters, and what we discovered was shocking. Security guards on site. This is in NYC. Security guards on site spoke of stabbings, drug use deaths, and other alarming incidents.
Sounds like jail.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, like all this stuff.
Like one of the migrants got stabbed.
Since Joe Biden was put in office, hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens have taken refuge in New York City, the largest sanctuary city in the United States. To handle this, numerous illegal alien compounds have been established on what was once prime New York real estate.
Wow.
Muckraker conducted the first ever investigation of 3 of these compounds at Randall's Island, the Row Hotel,
Really, Randall's Island?
Floyd Bennett Field. Over the course of our investigation, we discovered
I went to a music festival there.
stories of violence and weapons inside these facilities, shocking internal reports, and much more. We also interviewed a whistleblower who formerly worked inside these facilities.
I mean,
This is a first ever look.
That's not a very good,
I know.
hiding his identity there.
I could kind of
Those
tell
black
that.
and white and
Like,
sunglasses.
oh, that's Alfred, dude. I know that guy. The fuck?
inside New York's illegal alien compounds. Row NYC is the 5th largest hotel in New York City and is located just 1 block from Times Square. It has now been turned into a shelter for roughly 5,000 illegal aliens.
Jeez.
Just in the hotel?
Room service.
What's up?
This is insane.
¿Qué pasó? Bien. ¿Qué país tú? Venezuela. Venezuela. How long here? How long? 1 month? 2 months? 3 weeks.
That dude's Asian.
Where you from?
Yes,
You're from China?
China.
China.
Oh, okay.
a lot of China.
Oh, you're Muslim. Oh, okay. Can I talk to you?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. What country are you from?
Russia.
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 What part of Russia?
What?
What part of Russia? Where? Moscow.
Chechen Republic.
Chechen.
Chechen Republic.
Uh-oh.
I'm from
Wait,
Russia.
Russia?
you're from Russia.
Well,
You don't look like you're from Russia.
yeah, really. That's why I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a tough life for people like me that back in
Oh.
Damn. From what part of Russia?
Siberia.
Siberia.
Yeah.
Dude sounds American.
Right.
Decoration.
What?
You seen anything as security when you're working here? Because I'm fresh. I just got here.
I mean, like, obviously.
Oh,
you
he's
know,
undercover.
in the rooms and all that, like, they don't want cooking, all that stuff. But I don't see they try to sneak in guests and all that. That's not permitted.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. They try to hide them. Like, I just see stuff like that.
Because somebody was telling me some crazy shit. I was talking to another guy, and he was like, "Yeah, there was a story about some man who freaking beat his wife, and there was blood everywhere and all that." Shit.
Yeah. I've been to like a DV case before too.
A domestic violence case.
Yeah.
What'd you see?
Like basically, it was basically the female was yelling. There's a little commotion in the back. You go in the back, and then after you go in the back, like she run out, but like she ran out, he ran out too. But when he ran out, she you look at the room was blood because she didn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
She ran out, but she didn't say anything. So we asked her what happened. She keep running away from us. So the dude trying to walk away. We like, yo, once you open the door, we see all the blood. We like, yo, no, I don't know how to pull up.
But there was blood all over all over the room.
Yeah, all over the room.
How bad was it?
Like, you know how like when somebody get punched in your nose and then you start gushing.
Yeah.
And like it's over the bed and over, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, once you move around, you can see it's like the trail marks and stuff like that.
Damn.
Yeah, but
Somebody just got freaking clocked.
yeah, like it was like between him and his wife.
Oh, the Muslims. Terrorist. Allahu Akbar.
What's he wearing that he has like an American flag patch on?
I think he works there.
He just works there?
Oh,
Maybe.
yeah, security
He
guard.
get a uniform.
Yeah, you're right. He was a security guard.
Well, yeah. I don't know how much of this we want to watch, but
Yeah, I mean,
it's
there was-
26. Oh shit.
There's
I
other.
wanna- I want to run this by you guys. Okay, so probably it was before the election, so a couple months ago, just scrolling through videos, and I found two that were in that not Springfield. What area was that in Ohio? Was it Springfield, Ohio?
Yeah, I think it was Springfield.
All right. So the first one was this young cashier. You know, she works in a supermarket, and she's talking about how, you know, when she works as a cashier, so when people are paying with their EBT card, she can see their balance. So she's saying how, you know, you have a lot of the Haitian migrants coming with their EBT cards. So she said, well, there's the particular ones that they're coming in, and she's like, they're well dressed, you know, and they're paying with their EBT cards, and I'm seeing balances of $10,000, $11,000, $13,000. She's like, I've never seen anything like that. And she's like, usually you see a few hundred. She's like, but I've never seen tens of thousands of dollars. Wow. And so then scrolling and see this other woman lives in the same general area in Ohio. And she's talking about how in this area, they had some kind of like factories that were shut down. Well, now they have the migrants working in the factories, and it's like really shady. And she's like, the conditions are probably bad because they have like everything blacked out, and they pick up these people from the motels and they pick them up in vans and they take them to work in these factories. And I'm thinking, if you have $10,000 on an EBT card, and part of it is cash, your cash benefit, versus like what covers the food, why the hell are you working in a factory? Right? Does that make sense?
They're
If
probably
you're
working
money from the government, why are you working in a effed up factory? So then the light went off, and I said, the people that are working in the factory don't have the EBT card. So this is what I think is going on. I think the federal government is using the EBT cards to pay the coyotes and the narcos. So these people that so everyone signs up at your non-for-profit They sign you up. You get some type of a number. You get this EBT card. You give your EBT card to your coyote. You give them to your handler, and that person is getting 10,000 or whatever it is per person. So that's how you're paying to come here. Thank you, federal government. And that person who's paying the coyote is now then saying, okay, well, you're going to go work in this. You're going to go work in that factory, and you're going to give me a cut every time you work, and I have your card. And that's why you have some people that are buying cars with their EBT and that are all dressed. And that's why you have, that's what I think. And I'm like, our federal government is paying people to they're paying the coyotes to bring the people here. Because why the hell then is like, why are these people working in factories? Why do you have, like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And that, like, I had kind of that like go on. I'm like, I think our tax money is going to paying the coyotes and their handlers that are bringing them in here. Because why else would that be going on? But I don't know, that I just found that so crazy.
And they're probably working at industries. I saw another undercover video. I think it was what's his name, Tyler Oliviera. He does like a lot of like man on the street type investigative, and he was out in that town, that one town out. It's south of Pittsburgh, and they have kind of like a somewhat like a Springfield situation, where you have like a Rust Belt suburb of Pittsburgh, and there's this massive influx of immigrants, and they're literally being picked up and working at a meat processing.
Right.
And it's like kind of like, well, what's going on here, where they're literally getting picked up in vans and being taken there, and there's all these like Haitian and different, and like, you know, he's looking into this, and things don't add up. Like, it doesn't add up with. So I think you're onto something, and I think this is what's happening.
The light went off because the way the cashier was describing, like, you know, she's like, the ones that are coming in with these EBT cards, she's like, they're all wearing like really nice clothes, and these are the ones that are driving the cars that don't know how to drive. They're buying these cars because they have so much cash, and I guess the businesses that are selling cars are like, I guess they're like, we'll take EBT cash, like for you. I mean, I don't know how else they're doing this. Or you're going to an ATM and you're pulling out cash. Like, you can do that with you can do that with these cards. And then, but because like, if you have all that money, why would you then go and work in some factory? You have everything paid for. You have your food paid for. You have your hotel paid for.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what it's like. I think we're paying the traffickers. I think that's how they're paying traffickers, and like the federal government's paying the traffickers.
Well,
yeah, I think that's it.
I would be surprised if that happens in some cases, or somehow like, if they're getting hold of it, like they're just exchanging money, like, hey, I can sell this money to people, you know. There's like ways through that. Yeah, it's.
And then with
crazy,
like
man.
states increasing minimum wage to like $15 an hour, so you have a lot of industry, or a lot of these places that are looking for workers are like, oh, well, how can we do an end around here? How can we sort this out?
hi.
What's up?
Hey, there he is. What's
Hello.
going on, man? Good to see you. Haven't seen you since Liberty Fest.
Yeah.
In Vermont.
He's over here talking. I was like, do you just want to jump on with us?
Sure.
Yes, we're just
Trying to
talking.
distract me with the "Why are you gay?" That's all we say to each other now. Why are you gay?
You are gay.
What?
Which one is
gay.
gay? That's our
No,
answer to everything.
Now I'm listening to a lot of what you guys are saying, and it's what whoever is overseeing the expenditure on the EBT funds, they're overlooking a lot of the illegal activities that's being used behind that, because that's money that's tracked, and you're only allowed to use those funds for very, very specific things. And if they're turning around buying cars, buying obscure things, and pulling large amounts of money out from an EBT account, which all they can do is, I think the max at an ATM is only $500
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Who knows if you go
know?
someplace and they change it,
No,
or they
it's
just
from-
keep doing
Yeah, do they have a way of preventing you from buying certain things at, like, say, the grocery store?
So
it's
So there's two things. You
Like,
get an,
that's not up to the cashier, right? That's up to there's some sort of
when you
Oh.
get your government card, you have there's two sources of money, because this is how people get paid, like welfare. But you get EBT, you get an EBT that has an amount that covers only food.
Mhm.
But then you have a secondary fund that gives you cash, and that's how people get welfare.
Look who's following.
I know that's how
Gotcha.
people get that money. So when they're talking about, oh, people have like, so remember how they were saying like, oh, people were getting $10,000, like it was on these cards, and
Yeah.
that's a month.
But
So-
those-
So
And
that's
my-
not the typical, but that's
Yeah.
not the typical welfare.
But you see, a welfare card or an EBT card, your typical EBT or welfare card is issued by the state. Okay,
Mhm.
that's through welfare, and the state will comp certain funds from the federal government, right?
Right, it's through there.
So, the state's fronting the money, but they're being compensated for the money.
Sure.
So, it's coming out of their pocket, but not really,
And then, I mean, I wonder too if these non-for-profits that are helping these people sign up, if they're then getting kickbacks.
Oh, of course,
From-
they're
right?
getting
Like,
kickbacks.
'cause
They
if-
have to.
It's like
That's the definition of a non-for-profit, though.
it's
know?
like money. It's money laundering. They're money laundering.
Yeah.
EBT
What?
Yeah.
cards. Like
You
that's
t-
what I'm like. This
you
is what
tell
I'm
me-
what
Yeah.
I'm doing.
You tell me what non-for-profit CEO or board of electees don't live in a beautiful, lavish home.
Right. They get
You know?
paid.
Come on, they're writing their own checks. They just don't need to show a profit. So all the millions of dollars a year that they're getting, they write themselves a check, so that this way, it's not shown as a profit.
Right.
And then they get a tax credit on it.
So Zelensky probably has a really good EBT card.
Seriously.
Billions of dollars, yeah.
Yeah, man.
The amount of coke he does, I mean, you got to.
What about Kamala's wine EBT card?
Yeah,
Wow.
she's unlimited.
That-
Well,
that-
it's gonna
oh,
get
well, I'd like to
cut
have that.
off.
I'd like to have that card.
Right.
Unlimited booze.
Yeah.
Right.
That-
Did you
and
know
that's-
that
Venn
Congress
diagrams.
has a bar. That Congress has a liquor store. Did you see that?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What, like in the Capitol?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Elon Musk shared it, and it was legit. Like I thought it was a joke.
That's
I was
all right. Now we definitely got to storm the Capitol.
And
again.
he's like, this is
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I'm not trying to serve no time for legally
For wine.
trespassing on property that my taxes pay for.
well, it's not trespass.
No, I said legally. They call it trespass, but it's like
It's the double
we paid
speak.
for that.
I'm meandering.
Guess what?
So-
You know what? My forefathers, just like yours, built this shit.
no, they didn't. They weren't
You know?
here.
Forefathers, the forefathers from the country.
We adopted them.
They're the ones who built it. Like, you mean I can't go in and sightsee?
Right.
Yeah, I think the EBT. I think it's a way of one, because you have the increase of minimum wage laws in a lot of these states, so they can't find workers. So this is a backdoor way of funding it. And then another aspect of it too, which is very sinister. This is just like EBT cards are basically like a CBDC. It's like allocating like what you can buy, what you can track. So this might be like a dry run, or what they'll eventually do. Like,
Yeah,
all right,
I-
They already have the
wait.
infrastructure.
I've got
Mhm.
something for you. For all of y'all and you. All right. I just got an email
Mhm.
from the VA offering a free class in weapons manufacturing.
wait, what?
Whoa.
Huh?
It's a free class on weapons manufacturing.
Like how to do it.
Like, what kind of weapons?
Sounds like an ATF
Like bombs
thing.
to send over to Ukraine, or
Yeah, bombs, guns.
wow?
It's a free class, and mind you, hold on, this is the topper.
Wait, there's more.
There's more. It's on a campus So you get free room and board.
What?
You get paid for it.
Forward me the
Okay.
email.
I will forward it to you.
I'm a veteran. I might sign up.
Yeah,
for that.
Alex,
I don't know. I want to
go sign up,
this.
dude.
Like, wait, what?
Yeah, maybe they can teach you how to outfit a certain a certain bulldozer as
I'll
well.
bet you. That's why I get the email. You know. So
Yeah.
I was looking at it and I was like, no, this is bullshit. So I click on it, takes me to the campus website. Then it shows a whole bunch.
Yeah. Next thing you know, it's the FBI waiting there for you.
Right? It shows a whole bunch what the campus offers, right? The classes, and then it shows the weapons manufacturing. All right. So I click on that, and all this stuff comes up, what they provide, and it's all free service for veterans to go on to learn manufacturing. So they're covering machining, welding, some kind of computer engineering, manufacturing, but it's all weapons grade stuff.
That's weird.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Doge
I'm
might
gonna-
shut that down.
Recruiting for Raytheon, maybe?
Probably.
You know,
I mean, there definitely is a skills gap. I mean, as a welding instructor, I mean, there is a machinist and
Oh yeah,
welding
for
gap,
sure.
but the fact that it's so geared towards like, ooh, gun manufacturing or gunsmithing,
I
don't
know.
It seems a little.
You know, what caught my eye was, wait a minute, who am I working for?
Right.
You know, and
Mhm.
you're offering free teaching, free class for this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon.
Yeah. Are they gonna have 3D printers there or
Yeah.
milling machines?
So
I mean,
because I'm gonna go and forward that email to you guys, but
I'll show
it was really weird. I'm like, oh wow, this is
Huh.
creepy, you know.
I mean, they might. I mean,
It is really creepy.
especially under this administration and the ATF.
I know.
I think, I could see something like this. For example, I mean, I remember two things. It was Ron Paul's book. It was Liberty A to Z. And it was on the chapter of gun control. And he kind of ended it with like, all right, well, and I don't know. I think I have it on my bookshelf somewhere. But I mean, I forget when that book came out. But he basically said, look, it's already, forget gun control. Like with machining, modern manufacturing, 3D printing, whatever. He's like, the conversation is over. More or less. That's how he ended that chapter. Or he's like, it's over. But then it was it was like 2-3 years ago. One of the instructors at my school, he was super base, like this total, like he was pretty base, but he was into hunting and guns and whatnot. He was like former like DC cop. He was like this like really based like country black dude. Like he was just like super into like hunting and everything and gunsmithing and we would have like gun talk. But he was telling me about he had friends in Virginia that tipped him off about a potential and I looked it up and I was like, holy shit. Like some progressive shit lib in the state of Virginia was trying to pass legislation where that if you have a machine shop or you have any ability, like you have to register any raw material. So like if you have aluminum, if you have steel, like whatever you have in your shop and you have the capability, you have to quote unquote register. Now the bill didn't go anywhere, but the fact that they're going to that level,
They're trying.
That's crazy.
So this could be some like, yeah, to your point, this could be like maybe like a backdoor way, like, hey, are you
Backdoor way to
interested in
outlaw
these
3D
things?
printing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or like you have
a
to
way like,
register
kinda-
it or something.
Yeah, to create like a registry, like who are these individuals that we're training that have these skills? Because it's like,
Email.
if you're a machinist, you're a welder, anything about like 3D printing, CAD CAM.
But I mean,
You're
okay, then
dangerous.
we're
You're
just doing
dangerous
unregistered 3D printers.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's
I mean,
go.
and it's one thing to like, I guess, if it's, hey, veterans, if you're looking to be trained, right, exactly, because we have a gap in trades, like it's really bad. I can see that, but the fact that it was like so specific to
It's like,
manufacturing.
do you want to learn how to machine off the end of a shotgun? Come on down to room 105 at the Baltimore
Sheridan.
Community College.
Yeah. That is
Yeah.
great.
Do you see Zelensky is being urged by Biden to lower the draft age from 25 to 18.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, aren't they? I mean, I think like weren't they already like just grabbing young people like off the streets and like?
Yeah, but they all were like older because like you see videos of these nightclubs that are filled with young people in Kiev.
Well, those are
and they're
Jared's
just partying,
people. Those are Jared's people.
They don't have to fight.
No,
Those are the
no.
children of the oligarchs that are getting our money. That are like,
yeah.
They're
But
partying.
now
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense because the draft was only to 20 or 25, so these probably were kids who were 21, 20, who weren't forced to go. Yeah. So now. the
Plus, you
clubs
can
might be
drink when you're
drying up
18
soon.
there, probably.
Yeah, most
Dude,
countries. 18.
It's crazy to think like what's going on there, and every day is in a further escalation. Like, what the fuck? Like, why is he still running things? Like, the 25th should have been invoked a long time ago.
Do you guys believe that? What do you think that Trump and Elon like are actually like talking to Putin and Zelensky? Like, hey, let's.
Yeah, I
bump
saw
the
that
brakes?
too. I don't know if
Yeah.
that was legit.
I don't know.
I hope so. I hope
Something.
I don't care. I hope Elon's in charge of everything with like, hey, like we're just gonna like shift to a, Miriam Adelson gave me $100 billion or $100 million, so we're gonna back Israel and we'll start being dickheads to Iran again, but we're gonna back up all these other dumb bullshit wars. Like if that's the best we get out of a Trump administration, it's fine by me, but I think the Ukraine war has to come to an end. Like they gotta negotiate.
It's just
That's definitely
hope
way more
so.
of an existential threat.
right.
I mean, Israel's definitely worse as far as like a humanitarian crisis, but
They don't have
as
a
far as
design-
like, yeah, they don't have. We don't have to worry about
Yeah,
nukes in
nukes.
that scenario,
Yeah, exactly.
but not like It's pretty.
which is sad to talk about it like that, but that's the
Right.
reality.
Fucking every single day, it's another just dead children.
Well,
Like,
what about this Hezbollah ceasefire? You see
I
that?
didn't hear about this. No.
It just happened.
Well, that was
Yeah, Netanyahu recommended that his cabinet recommended that his cabinet vote on the ceasefire. I think in favor of it, something like that. But that's just Hezbollah. That's not Gaza.
Yeah, because I know Hezbollah's gonna get. It's like Israel's not that like they can't be that stupid to be like, okay, we win, we got like we did the whole 1917 Pancha Villa whatever type thing where we invaded Mexico just to find these bandits. Like I guess they were trying to just like do that style thing when they're going into Lebanon, but they can't start like complete bombing Lebanon. I just think they can't keep escalating it in other countries without there being some type of response and an overwhelming response from Iran and whoever else. They can't afford stuff like that. So it would make sense for them to be like, yeah, mission accomplished in Lebanon. Now we'll just go back to ethnically cleansing all these Palestinians, That would make sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
We'll
when's the end? When's the end? It's like the end game. Like,
I
why
know.
is everyone's like? I guess till every hostage comes home. Like what?
They're all dead. I mean, not to be. Bleak,
I
but,
don't even know
mean,
if that's true. I
how-
don't even know if that's true.
I don't even. What if there was never hostages?
Yeah.
What if it was all a hologram?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't.
Well, I
trust
mean, a lot of
either-
them, like,
I
I
don't
mean,
trust either side in that conflict.
yeah, I mean, that's that rave. I mean, they keep running with like, and that just seems like a total psyop with those. I mean, a lot wasn't it? Didn't it come out that like while they were like fleeing, that basically it was Israeli Apaches that just mowed them all down, and they were like, oh, it was
Hannibal
Hamas, and it's like, no, you murdered all your own people. Like that's like that's how they operate.
Like it
It's
wouldn't
like-
be the first time in history government did that to get into a conflict, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean the whole what day was that? December 7th. What day is
October.
it? October
October 6th, right?
7th.
6th,
I'm
7th.
just starting to get too many dates now.
Yeah,
Like,
let's-
yeah,
enough with the
9/11,
dates.
December
What's-
7th.
What's the
October
day
6th.
that lives
Can
in
we
infamy?
just name them
I don't
with
know.
their names instead of just dates?
right.
Like Oklahoma City. Like who knows what date that was off the
I
top
don't
of their head?
remember.
Nobody. It's April. I know that because it was like near my birthday, but that's
Was
about
it?
it.
It was on the same day as Waco massacre.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, he
Waco
did.
Oh, that's right. It
massacre.
was on the anniversary because supposedly it
Yeah.
was for the anniversary.
So what
That's
day is
a
that?
whole other rabbit
It's
hole.
April,
man.
right?
I think it was April 20th. I don't know.
Whole other
I know
thing.
isn't that Hitler's birthday?
Yeah, it's Hitler's birthday. That was also when Columbine happened.
It's my favorite.
Oh, man.
It's April
Is it-
19th. April 19th. So it's 2 days before my birthday.
That's like the government's favorite date to do stuff.
The Illuminati. They like to pick.
420.
Isn't it?
Are you kidding
I
me?
don't know what you got.
420? April 20th.
Yeah, dude.
Wait,
it's-
what? What do you
April
wait?
20th?
Yeah, April 20th.
420. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's, in a sense, it's cool, but like, I mean, it's sad altogether. But all this stuff that I've known about for years that we've just been talking about, like I find in our community we talk about a lot, is now just kind of mainstream. You know,
Isn't that
like I
something?
never thought. The entire time Biden was milking off Burisma and you know Hunter and stuff like that. It was screaming that back in like 2015, 2014, and like. Who would have thought it would become such an issue? Like now everyone knows about that. Well, I wouldn't say everyone, but now a lot more like people know about it. It's just cool in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like more people are sympathetic to like Killdozer,
yeah,
like
yeah,
Waco,
right.
Huge.
Ruby Ridge. Like, I don't know, man. That's a white pill, right?
And I think like not for nothing in the popular culture, Netflix, was it Netflix? Anyway, they did a Waco miniseries.
Yeah.
Did
That's
you see
pretty
that?
decent.
So that was pretty. It was geniusly done because they based it on 2 books. One of the books was the FBI negotiator, and then the other book was one of the survivors that was on the inside of Waco. So you got like a really good, well-rounded, and that really kind of. When I watched that, I mean, I was incensed because when that was happening. Like I remember when it happened, but it was just kind of something that was on the news, and I didn't like know like all the intricacies. I had forgotten like how long like the standoff was, and so when I'm watching that miniseries, I think the actor's name is like Michael Sheen or something. This brilliant guy, but I was just like, holy crap, this is what was happening. Like I totally forgot like so much of what went on, all the details.
Yeah.
And but anyway, my point is that like so a lot of people watched that, and then they did it was so popular they did a follow-up to that. So they did a second part of that, which was also really well done, that kind of went into like the investigation and all the stuff like into like what the hell happened. And in that Waco one, they started off with Ruby Ridge. So they show that. So I just think a lot of people have like watched these types of things, and then they've gone down rabbit holes of like and I just think they've kind of gotten popular, like a lot of other stuff that like libertarians have been talking about forever, right? Like now people are talking about abolish the IRS. Like, why do we even have, you know, income tax?
Not to be black-pilled about it, but
inflation.
I was gonna say like a lot of like I
Black
want to believe that,
pill
like, so many people are like,
Phil.
oh wow, it's opened so many people's eyes. But the problem is, next time this happens in real time, these people won't open their eyes until the documentary's made about it 20 years later. That they won't.
Black pill Phil.
Black
That's
pill
when they'll
Phil.
care. Like when I
Always
hate that
black
when
pilling
people,
us.
like these lulberts will say like most people are libertarians and they don't even know it, and then it's like
No,
no,
I
I mean, that's definitely
COVID
not true.
COVID would tell you that's a lie.
No, I don't believe
people
that.
Most people are the ones that would like rat on you for like hoarding grain, like
For not wearing your
Yeah, well, those are the same people that went along with it too. The lulberts that were like, "Well, people are libertarian." Well, but then they'll be like, "Oh, well, reason says if I don't wear a mask, that might violate the NAP." And
yeah, now they're the same people saying like you shouldn't ban like these cancer-causing chemicals in
Yeah,
food and
I
fluoride in the water.
swear to God, fucking Nick Gillespie, I swear Reason is an inside job. I'm so fucking sick of them.
I believe
Like-
that.
Like,
It's so obvious though. They're so obvious at this point.
yeah, and like saying like, okay, maybe this isn't, but yeah, RFK, ban all that fucking shit in food.
Or at
Then
least
for them to
at
say like
least
religiously,
expose it. At least
Yeah.
expose it so people can be like, holy crap. At
Yeah,
least
it's like
label
they-
it.
Yeah,
Well,
like
I
they
would say
really-
like I would say it's perfectly fine to prevent someone from poisoning someone else, right? Isn't that within the realm of the NAP? Is to
These people are defending it like hardcore. These libertarians are like, no, that's just a private.
I know if you want to
property."
argue that like his science is wrong and this stuff isn't actually that bad, like that's one position to take.
And I love Jeremy Kaufman because I think he's hysterical, and I think he's also, I mean, I think a big part of him is just a contrarian by nature. So he's like, well, let's look into these seed oils. So then he goes like down rabbit holes of like data that's like they're not really so bad if people really want to use them. And I'm like, I think you're just a contrarian. I think because people
I mean, I'm not on board with the seed oil criticism completely, but
I think
seed oils aside, like there's definitely a ton of bad shit in mainstream food if you don't do your due diligence and actually
chemistry of just like the chemistry of like how like the hydrogenated molecule, like what that does. And that's like what seed oils, a lot of seed oils, like they have this hydrogenation process. So they're solid at room temperature because they're fake. Yeah, that's not good for you. Like, but then just label it. It's going to take such a long time because so many farmers are paid to grow certain crops. Like it's not going to happen. But if we deregulate a lot of like agriculture so that farmers are able, so that kind of like the smaller scale farmers are able to really get some steam in terms of products for their local community, and people can buy milk directly, they can buy beef fat directly, they can do that. It's going to happen like over time anyway, because I'd rather buy, like I'm getting half a cow. Like I just rather buy that directly from the farmer. I'm going to render the thing myself. If I wanted to do that, I could, if I was allowed to sell it. I mean, I could, right? Like then I think that's how these things, it's just the deregulation is really the best way to go with it. And then people are going to choose that because they're like, I'd rather do that. It's healthier, tastes better than freaking soybean or corn or whatever.
Yeah, Scott says I peruse Reddit. Don't think shame.
That's an interesting way to spell peruse.
Yeah.
What's
the deal with raw
French
milk? It's as bad as you expect, but that they're asking is an indication the needle is moving. Yeah,
I don't understand. Raw milk is just milk.
Yeah, that's it.
Natural milk. I hate the word raw milk. It's like it's just natural milk.
It's just not. Milk. It's just not pasteurized.
Again, I'm a retard.
Milk. They should just call it processed milk. They've killed everything. There's no.
What is pasteurizing?
Well, pasteurizing just allows it to stay on the shelf for longer.
Yeah, the pasteurization where they heat it up, they boil it, and in doing that, they kill off like a lot of the enzymes and stuff. And then you have ultra pasteurized, which is it's heated up for a longer amount of time. So interestingly enough, organic milk is ultra pasteurized. So people are like, oh, it's organic, it's better. It has like almost no nutritional value because so much of the enzymes are killed off in that ultra pasteurization process. That's why like you'll see like half and half or like different products and like you buy it today, November, whatever it is, and it's like it's good until January.
It's good for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah,
ultra pasteurized it.
Yeah, my son has like he's lactose intolerant. Like he
could just have raw milk.
Right, like fine. That's so crazy because we get the lactose free milk and it lasts way longer than regular milk.
It's ultra pasteurized.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
If you went to a farmer's market and even like down to their specific cows that if you did like have to get it pasteurized or whatever, if they have like a certain line of jerseys, it's like they have the enzyme that your son's missing so that he could actually drink that milk. Like it really gets down to like some interesting, fascinating stuff when you get into boring homesteading things.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know a lot of this stuff.
Where does that stand with Thomas Massey and the USDA? Was it that?
Oh hell yeah!
Is that happening?
No, I think they gave that to someone else. But I think what happened is that because you guys know who Joel Salatin is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Polyface Farm.
So I have a friend who's friends with Joel Salatin, and he was just like, awesome. Thomas Massey, like this was weeks ago. It was like Thomas Massey just said like he might get USDA and he's tapped Joel to be one of his advisors, and this is like might be happening. But I think what happened is I think Massey's was torn of like, do I want to do this and what's going to happen in the house? because he's really effective in the House. The other thing too is Massey he's on a shit ton of committees.
Right.
That's the hardest thing to get into.
Yeah.
And he's really effective in all of those committees. So I think it was kind of like, okay, I'm going to run this thing and I want to like trim it down. Is there someone who could do that? Because even if I get a replacement, like they're not going to get all of these committees. They're not going to be able to do the amount of work. So in the end, I think it was smart that he stays. I think Salatin is.
Didn't they select somebody else for USDA?
Yeah, I think they check it on Twitter because I feel like I saw something
But Joe Salatin, he's still going to be in it, right? I thought he was.
I think he's going to be an advisor.
As an advisor.
Yeah.
Which is
I've never been down.
Oh, it's a chick. Her name's Brooke Rollins.
Yeah.
What do you know?
Here's a conservative lawyer, is CEO of right-wing think tank America First Policy Institute.
For those that don't know, this is a great documentary because Joe Salatin was in Food Inc. And I think that came more from like a leftist perspective.
Yeah.
Where Farmageddon and Jared, I have it down here. We could maybe watch this trailer. People could check it out. But I think this is more from like a libertarian perspective.
Yeah, and Joel's definitely a libertarian.
He's been featured through it. I'd learned about him through I discovered him through Ron Paul, I think in 2008 or 2012.
Yeah.
And then I came across this documentary.
Joel Salatin spoke at one of our national conventions. He was one of the speakers one time years ago.
That's awesome.
National, yeah.
What am I clicking? Farmageddon or?
Yeah, Farmageddon trailer.
What year did this come out?
This came out in good question.
19 or something.
Yeah, I remember seeing this on YouTube or on Netflix, right?
I want to say probably like 2012, 2014-ish, around then.
Oh, is that
Ron
old?
Mills from South Carolina, USDA grade licensed dairy. An imminent health hazard according to the state of Georgia.
Oh my God.
They even took the sheep that I had brought over from New Zealand.
Olga, pause this real quick. This was in Vermont. These individuals were in Vermont, and I remember when I came up to visit, I showed my cousin it.
His arm like this and a gun pointing up at me.
Jeez.
They came with the director of milk control, the assistant director, and our inspector, and they all came and pretended they were just going to do an inspection, and then they did a seizure.
Terrorized the children, took the farmer away in handcuffs.
Yeah, this was
the
first couple with the sheep.
It looked like PA.
Oh, okay.
That was an Amish. That was an Amish individual, but the first couple, the first woman with the sheep, they shipped them over from I think the Netherlands.
You said New Zealand. She said New Zealand.
Oh, okay. Anyway, like I showed this to my cousin when I came up to Vermont, and he was like, no shit. He was like, I was at that protest back before like Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
When, like leftists actually like stood for shit. Yeah. And so it was the first time I went up to Vermont and visited him, and we were hanging out and we're just drinking beers, and I'm like, we're shooting the shit. I'm like, hey, check out this documentary. I think you'd like it. And he was just like, what the fuck? He's like, dude, like that's me. Like that's all, like I'm at this protest because they came in. They seized all the sheep. They murdered them all, or whatever they were, because they because
they were like from out of the country.
Yeah, and they followed all the guidelines and everything, but because there was a mad cow, they said, "Oh, it could cross." Just like just total something
that was before I moved up here. But yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
But it's exactly the type of thing.
And so that was the one family, and then the other family that was featured there. That was an Amish farmer, and that is something else too, because I still have a lot of my family. They all still live up in Pennsylvania, and the Amish came out in droves for Trump.
Yeah.
Like they don't like the only time they actually get involved in politics is if it's going to like protect or advance like their way of life. And the U.S. they've been cracking down on raw milk and cheese and.
Well, they've targeted several farmers, like Amos Miller in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's been dealing with this for over a decade. So first, the federal government targeted him, and he dealt with that case and like he won. and it was over like milk, and they were like, oh, someone said that they drank your milk, and then like they may have gotten sick or something, so they targeted him. It's like, how many people get sick from McDonald's and they don't try to shut that shit down?
Yeah.
But then the Department of Agriculture, whatever it is from Pennsylvania, then the state went after him, and I think they're just so fed up. Like, yeah, they were literally having like Trump parades with their horse and buggies with Trump flags. They went out in droves and voted for him in the Amish. And the last time they had a big drive like that was about 100 years ago. I forgot like whatever the president was. And it was kind of something similar. Like they started getting targeted and they're like, okay, I guess we're going to vote.
Yeah, like 180 some thousand registered to vote. And it's pretty based when I go up to visit my family in Reading. I go to the back roads, and there's this Amish farm that I frequent pretty often, like whenever I'm coming up through, because they got like awesome sauerkraut, so good. They got like everything, like raw milk, cheese, all that. And they always have Joe Salatin's book. And the one Amish farmer is like, yeah, my son, my family. He's like, oh, my son, my two boys, they went down there. They went down to Virginia, and they met Joel, and he went like, and they have. In fact, Joel they do the regenerative farming. They do it the right way.
He's coming up to Vermont. We are having. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. There's a yearly conference here, December. I'll tell you right now, John. Clark.
Yeah, it was one of his one of Joe Salatin's books, I think, like homesteading, or it was.
Yeah, so many.
Mm-hmm. It's it wasn't everything I want to do is illegal, but it was
something like
but it was the one where it's like how basically how to start homesteading on a small scale, large scale, whatever the case may be, just to start doing.
I started using his books. Like I had no idea who. I just had this book about chickens, and it happened to be his.
Nice.
And then it was just like later on, I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, that I know that name," and it like turned out to be this guy. And I was like, I was just using his chicken book.
So the fact that he's on an advisor of USDA, it's like that's the thing. Like these loser libertarians, are like, I'm like, you don't understand how big this is. Like these are small steps to advance liberty, you know? And that's the problem is like a lot of these loser libertarian types don't actually pursue a libertarian lifestyle. They don't actually like do it in practice or in praxis, you know, like they don't either try to do it on their own or frequent those businesses or try to do, you know, like to try to create like a counter culture or counter society or they just, I don't know. They're just, they don't understand how big this is on a lot of, like Kennedy being involved, like Joe Salatin and many others, you know, they don't see it. Jay Bhattacharya, yeah. This is huge too. Like, Jay Bhattacharya at NIH has been on Tom Woods' show at least 3 to 4 times. And I think, what was it? I think Tom Woods' book, I think he either dedicated or Jay Bhattacharya wrote the forward to Tom Woods' book. He wrote the forward to it, to Psychosis. Like, it's like the world is healing. Like, take these white pills. Like,
I don't know if it's healing, but this is such a. Would you rather it be like? Well, I'd rather it be whatever the same old people who work, you know, like running the FDA, or you know, someone who was a former lobbyist with, you know, one of these pharmaceutical companies. Would you rather have that, or would you rather have like people like this coming in administration?
Yeah,
you're not going to get a full libertarian cabinet. Like I don't understand. Like people got so excited. Like I'm going to nominate a top libertarian. Yeah, but this is coming from the mouth of the guy who thought the really well-known popular libertarian was this guy named, what was his name? He was reading the article from. Like what was his name? What was like Rob Roberto or something? Like I never heard of this guy. And he was sitting there like, this is a great libertarian. And I'm like, okay, this guy says I guarantee you he's gonna nominate someone who's like a mediocre libertarian. And
yeah, we were all in that room. He's like, I will nominate a libertarian. He's a great libertarian. We're all like, who? And he's like,
who is it?
And we're like, who the fuck's that guy? Like, nobody knew who the fuck.
So the only thing I'm holding to Trump for that, like, it's a promise that, like, I'll be very devastated if he doesn't do it. And
Ross
Ulbricht. Yeah, like, that's it. That's the only thing I'm holding him to. It's the only hope, high hope. Yeah, like
that was
the only thing.
Yeah, that was my thing. I was like, if the only thing he does is free Ross Ulbricht, we're good. Everything else is
some of these
extra.
people say? Did you hear like they're like, oh well, that's good for his mom and all.
That's not the LPs, because that's not in our.
And they're like, what about hundreds of other million people who can't, who won't get freed? That's what they said. That's like saying like, wow, they're freeing a slave. Like, yeah, it's great and all, but what about all the other slaves? Like, ugh.
Right.
What kind of loser mentality is that? Like, that's not fair. You're just so mad and bitter.
It's
and I hate
really
you. Like, go away.
I think the way Angela described it, like just like it's a paralysis. It's really it's it on the spot on. It's like it's exactly what it is, because you can't. They just want to be contrarian. They just want to be like where they're not productive. And the other thing, and this is what COVID revealed, is that those of us who pushed back against the BS, it made them feel like that they were obvious because they didn't push back against it. So I think they felt exposed. And they were exposed in the fact that they didn't push back on this BS. And I think that was a line that was drawn in the sand. So like 99.9% of Mises, like our whole thing was like, we were pushing back on this from, pretty much the beginning. And it became this thing. And it was just like obvious, I think, to me and others of like, you guys you guys were silent on this shit. And I think like they were exposed for their bullshit. And it's the same thing. So what do you do when you're exposed? Like you become defensive, and it's just like, yeah, because you were exposed. And to me, that is something that I judge you on. Like if you weren't aware and you weren't like pushing back on some level, or like then like I don't trust you. Like I don't trust your instincts. I question your understanding of like basic libertarian principles, because trying to fall back on like, well, it's a choice. And I'm like, you literally fell for government propaganda. I don't care about like it's a choice. Like that to me is not the argument. Yeah. The argument is that you fell for this bullshit that the government told you. Like I question your critical thinking skills. So I think a lot of it is that this defensiveness that they feel exposed. So they're not going to ever be productive.
And the thing is people are like, well, it is a private property, like they can tell you they don't want you there, have to wear a mask because it's private property. But I'm like, but that's because government ruined people's informed consent because they tried to monopolize the science with pseudoscience. Right. So, and everything at every single store owner, every doctor's office, every single person dealt with who was enforcing these policies were saying, oh, well, I'm only doing it because government's forcing us.
Yeah, like the states were making
the guideline in order to stay open. I have to do these things. Yeah, it wasn't because they're like, no, man, I'm trying to we had when you and it boiled down to every single argument that you picked at for COVID. It was always, well, government says we have to do it. These are the rules. Sorry, I know, I don't like them either, but we have to enforce them, or I get shut down and I can't afford that. Like that's what it all boiled down to. So when people sit there and say, well, they have a right to do it. Yeah, okay, but it's based on
not even the argument. Yeah,
they didn't like that. That's the thing that I couldn't fucking stand about. Well, I think business. No, they never had a choice. They never had a choice. If they wanted to, just like your point, Otto. Like, yeah, they like the Baltimore, all the health departments, every fucking county in Maryland went along with this fucking bullshit. You at one point or the other, depending on, especially if you lived in like Central Maryland, you could not operate as a business how you chose to. Like you couldn't. You just could not.
Dude, my whole thing comes down to is the moment those mask mandates were lifted and the COVID vaccine ID, whatever thing was lifted, every single business that I know dropped it. So it's like you were going off what government said. You weren't going off of your own, like, well, this is my personal choice. Like, it's just bullshit. It was all such a lie.
And even if you did do it for that reason, you were doing it because you aligned yourself ideologically with progressives. Yeah. So at the end of the day, like whatever the rationale is, that's what was the progressive leftist position was like, I defer to authority and that's what I'm listening to.
Like, I'm not smart at any stretch of the imagination. I'm not smart. I just have I realized I have a good bullshit detector. And it all just smelled of bullshit from the jump. So that's why, that's how I've made it to where I am, just because I have a good bullshit detector.
Good survival skill.
That's how I've survived.
That's it. Like everyone's like,
I don't reason through anything. I don't use any induction or deduction. I just got a strong bullshit detector.
I overthink things. I overthink things, so I don't really.
You
trust my
overthink
ability
things.
to reason. I do, but like when someone comes,
I would
I'm
never
too
know.
smart is the problem.
Well, no, I overthink. So like I question myself, I second guess myself. Like
Yeah.
But when it comes to like instant knee-jerk reaction, I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm always correct. I'm like, yep, I called it. Like I knew that. So Scott says my county bolted plywood over the basketball hoops at the park near my house, never figuring that crap. Exactly. But that
That's so crazy.
But that's the government's property. They owned it, so that was their property.
It was their choice.
For the fucking skate parks, like the fact, Olga, to your point, like none of these goofies question like, yo, there's this dude out surfing by himself and he gets arrested, or like there's people just sitting on the beach and they're just out here. Oh, you want to go out on a hike? Sorry, kids, park's closed. You got to follow these rules.
Let's pour sand on the basketball
in the skate park.
The skate park.
Yeah. Or let's let's socially distance the urinal. Sorry, this urinal's closed. You can't like.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine tweeting that you're socially distancing in your own house with your family? Like you sound fucking retarded.
You sound like a faggot. Wait, what? Sorry.
Hanging out with those New Hampshire.
Like seriously, like thanks. I'm having a socially distanced Thanksgiving. Like fuck you, and you're gonna be the standard bearer of liberty for our party.
You're tweeting
fuck
that?
off.
I would.
Fuck off.
That's...
My whole family, my dad, who's no longer here on this earth, like he was like, "Fuck this, we're not doing this shit. We're getting together as a family," and we all got together. None of us got vaxxed, and guess what? We're all good. Fuck these people. I'm fucking sick of them because they fell for this shit. Fuck them. You know.
Well,
like,
the other side of that is like if you look at look at Angela. Angela went hard. She was, organizing protests and all types of stuff like during that peak time. And she brought a lot of people like into the LP, or a lot of people supporting her in the Mises Caucus because of that work. And like a lot of people that I recruited into the Mises Caucus here, it was because of the COVID stuff, pushing back with the COVID stuff. And like the people like here that were dysfunctional in our party, but I think generally they were resentful of those of us who were like taking on the medical freedom stuff and pushing back, because it's like, oh, that's going to be the issue. Like these people wanted to avoid it like the plague. And it's like, this is the issue.
This is the issue.
They're scared because polite society, you can't question vaccines, you can't question efficacy, you can't question science, and that's their religion. Like we found out, and they're scared to do that. So
because they have no religion.
Like, I don't want to. Like
it was
our old state chair said. He said that he didn't at our state picnic. He was like, I think we would be. There's a lot of good science out there that we don't want to be, ignoring by making people at a picnic, outside picnic, wear masks.
Get the fuck out of here. Oh gosh, dude,
a lot of good science. A lot of former chair of our state.
And you know what's funny? All those people kind of went away because I think we've maybe created. I mean, look, I think a lot of those goofies during those days, they don't. It's like you're not welcome anymore because you failed. Like you failed.
That was a litmus test. I'm sorry. It really is a litmus test for me.
Yeah.
That's why, like, Chase and all, but like that whole thing. I mean, aside from the fact he was very like, I actually muted him on X way before he ever started running, just because of all his like anti-Mises stuff. It was just like annoying. I was like, who is this? Like, so I just had him muted. And then like he was running, and then like all the tweets about like, and I was like, oh, like he did that. So it's just like a non-starter for me from the beginning. And for pretty much everyone here, it was just like a non-starter because most people here are medical freedom people.
Yeah.
So
we built a great coalition with when Babs came up in the Hobbit Hut, and I came up for the Liberty Fest you had. There was like such great like people that probably were not libertarian but just came together because of medical freedom.
Yeah,
You know, it started.
big. Yeah. That's why I was really happy that I remember when RFK, I was taking my mom to the airport and we had stopped for lunch, and I'm like sitting there in like the middle of like, this little coffee shop or whatever, like watching it live because it was such a huge deal here. Because a lot of folks were torn in the sense of like they are RFK people from the Child Health Defense Fund. A lot of anti-vaxxers here, a lot of ex-vaxxers and medical freedom people here. And it was just like, and then at the same time, kind of this, also people who kind of like Trump, just kind of the anti-establishment. So when that happened, I was just like, man, this is great for us here because Chase was a non-starter. And it was just like so many people then can feel like, they didn't have to compete with each other in that sense. And kind of people felt somewhat torn. But I think that's why Trump won the popular vote. And I mean, that whole thing is just, we haven't even had really a chance. And I mean, in general, the zeitgeist to just process like how powerful this election was. It's like, yeah, it's electoral politics and all that. But I mean, it was too big to fail in a way. I mean, it was overwhelmed because there's still bullshit happening. Like they're like, oh, we're still counting. They're still counting in places, and they're like, oh, it really wasn't the Republican, the Democrat really wants. Like, yeah, whatever. I don't believe any of that, but it was just huge. And I think that unity ticket with Elon and Vivek and Tulsi, I mean, it's just incredible. And I think that's honestly like a lot of these people that are super not so much like critical, because you can have constructive criticism, and I do see some people who are constructively criticizing, and I could like hear that and see that. I'm like, yeah, no, I get some aspects of it, but I just think the people that do it, to me, they're no different than leftists in a way, because it's just like it's the same knee-jerk reaction, and I'm just kind of like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they're not afloat on the reality boat. Hey, before we get out of here, let's you wanted to plug this event here. Let me let's see here. Let me add it up here. Bam! There it is. So
Liberty Food Fest.
Nice.
And Joel Salatin's going to be there. This is in Vermont, southern Vermont.
So
Nice.
December 12th to the 14th.
Yeah.
And let's see this lineup here. So there he is, Joe Salatin.
Matt Kibbe, Joel Salatin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's kind of nice. You have like some people from the left. You got some, libertarians, some people conservative. And food freedom is great. I mean, it's like one of those things like medical freedom where it really was once just like something you looked at like more from the left, and now it's just like you're getting everyone, a lot of more conservative types and libertarians jumping on that, and it's just like a lot of people are putting these old labels to the side and getting together about like how do we really just access and do what we want to do.
So where
Very cool.
exactly is this in southern?
So this is Bellow
Vermont?
Falls, which is southern Vermont.
Okay.
Yeah.
There I got the
November 12th
link.
to 14.
LibertyFoodFest.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joel Salatin will be there speaking. Yeah.
Do you LP Vermont going to be there? How involved are you going to be with this?
I've been invited, so I'm gonna make my effort to be there because I just want to meet Joel Salatin in person and bring my books and have him sign it because I'm a geek.
Nice.
Yeah,
I haven't looked into it. I know they deliver to some like parts in southern Maryland. Because I haven't been. I'd love to go. It's in like Shenandoah
I mean, the
Valley, Virginia.
homesteading movement is growing exponentially, and I think it's one of the things that's really like a great place for us to tap as libertarians, because a lot of these folks are really kind of down with minimizing government as much as possible. And you have like the Homesteaders of America has a huge conference every year in Virginia on Joel Salatin's farm, and there's events that are happening like that like all the time. Like even there's a group, Homesteaders of New England, and they have a yearly gathering in New Hampshire, which is cool because a lot of them are also free staters. So it's like a fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's just like another thing that's huge.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely the future. I mean, it's pretty amazing too, where it's like, and it crosses all cultures and all like, it's pretty amazing because I met a couple of my fiance Tiara's friends from college, and it's like, oh yeah, they just like grew up in Baltimore and bought land like in Bumblefuck, Virginia, and they just moved out, or they have homestead, or they have chickens, and it's like, wait, what? Like, you just meet like so many people that are just embracing that lifestyle. So it's
COVID
it's
like really
encouraging.
opened a lot of people's eyes
Yep.
that weren't anticipating like even doing anything like that. And I think, you know, when you see disruptions in the food getting to your supermarket, it really freaks you out on an existential level. And I think the fastest growing, you know, move that's happening is people that are leaving cities and kind of going to more rural areas and doing this. So
yeah, or returning to their roots, or like, oh, my grandmother used to do this, you know, or my
exactly.
Like I vaguely remember that. Like maybe we need to get back to that lifestyle. So yeah,
even on a small scale. Actually, one of the guys that's organizing this, if you go to the website, you should have him on your show. His name is John Clark, and he wrote a book called Small Farm Republic. And he is a libertarian, and he's conservative, and he's run for office here a few times, but he's also like someone that's just great to talk about these types of issues. And he was a lawyer, and now he's been a farmer for like a bunch of years.
Oh, John Clark. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. He's and actually, yeah, I think Joel Salatin wrote like the intro to his book. And it's an interesting book because he kind of looks at like what are, you know, some of our founding fathers envisioned of like a small farm republic, and like maybe we should get back to this idea of that.
Definitely. Well, hey, let's get I think it's time to get out of here. What do you say, Otto? He's deep in the memes.
Yeah,
we gotta fry some turkeys.
Memes. I'm just constantly getting texts and messages. It's never ending. Emails about the LNC, stuff like that. No, it's all bullshit. But anyway, it's all good.
I don't envy you. Thank you for taking that on, man.
It's all right. I don't do much. No, don't thank me. I'm here because there's just so other bad actors can't be on the LNC. That's just what my job is, and I'm fine with that.
That's why you're on this podcast too, so we can avoid other bad actors. Kyle.
Anyway, thanks for coming on
and having me. It's always a good time talking to you guys. And
thanks. We'll go say hi to your husband.
I'm all thankful for our listeners. You guys rock, and everyone else. You know, enjoy the holiday. Eat some turkey and
watch some football.
Some food. Yeah.
Gobble gobble.
Happy Thanksgiving,
gobble,
everybody.
gobble.
Till next
Happy
time.
Thanksgiving.
Live free
or die. Turkey.
Turkey.